So today my analysis is going to be a little different. I'm going to be a little price action based. I have multiple backup PCs with a lot of the stuff that I lean on for normal NADRO style analysis, and all of them are down. So I'm looking at naked price action here today. So, for example, when I look at the S&P, this will be, perhaps of interest to some of you. I start out on the daily here. And it's like, okay, general uptrend since those April big washout, right? We could zoom out further if we want to look at, prior major levels and things like that, but no need here for today. And so we do notice that it's almost slowing. The momentum is slowing. If we were to start out, okay, what's the speed of things coming out of here? It's that. Well, then what's the speed coming out of here? It's that. Well, now what's the speed now? It's slowing. You see how the angle or the slope of each of those is getting lower and lower and lower? So things are slowing. Things are a little bit rangy, and we can start to highlight that with some, big picture levels, something like this, and then definitely this one would be a really good one. And then we start to zoom in. We'll go to a 4-hour. Okay. We can see that, this is kind of the upper and lower established boundary, and that we are knocking on the door of the upper edge. So that matters. As we continue to zoom in, we're going to take a look. It's going to look like an uptrend, right? We're going to have coming off the lows, working to the highs. This is a significant area here, this prior high that we retested. And you could, if you want to get a little more granular, you could look at this high and where we're currently retesting. But remember, this big green dotted line is resistance. So we're kind of pushing into that. So, for example, if we were to come up right now with two different hypos for this session, based on that little top-down analysis, I would say one would be some type of significant break with, a hold that really kind of firms this up, and then we might look higher, be bullish. And then for the downside, I'll say, okay, well, this prior little resistance turn support zone right there, if we break that down, that would be kind of a nice little bearish scenario. Yeah. And then for each of the, the upside, there's really no more levels and things like that to look at. But for the downside, sometimes I like to zoom back out and say, okay, if we are breaking down that little level, then okay, we've got the low edge of this little consolidation here. It'd be a good spot to maybe take some risk. And then really we're looking back down at the lower edge of this daily to 4-hour type of balance area there. So anyways, that's how I approach kind of short term, but from top down, kind of taking a look at how things might unfold in a session from a price action perspective. But you see, one thing to just make a quick point on, guys, if that little level right there, right, that we were just looking at on the 3-minute, this guy right here, if you get too fixated on it and you just zoom out to the 30-minute, take a look at all of a sudden how insignificant that level is as opposed to 6970 or this major, 7007 level. You have to keep that hierarchy in your mind. If you lose sight of that and all of a sudden you just get sucked into the 3-minute and it's just all you're focusing on is what's going on there, you lose the forest for the trees, as we often say. Now, while S&P is not the most interesting market to me here today, I am going to continue to comment on it and to describe it, because I feel like that's one of my main teaching markets here today of like, okay, we went through some scenarios, we went through top down, and let's just watch how it unfolds. So right now, what I would say is that, as it drops as I say this, very short term, we know we were this 3-minute level that we marked, holding below there. And you saw a couple times they just retested into it. And so sellers holding below that is that's the very first indication of what's going on. It's the very first clue as to what's happening. So we've tagged resistance, super short-term level has broken down. Recall that our bearish scenario, however, for a trade is not until we were to trade to hold below this. So really this is actually a no trade zone, right? And used to, what I would do would come in and, potentially mark something like this, color it red or, whatever. Like, that's a no trade zone. Price has to literally be holding above that or holding below that to get involved. And it's little visual cues like that can just remind you throughout the session of things like that.
Yes, my attempt to fill breakdown here. NQ tagged prior day high, so a little bit of reaction. We do have a lot of earnings coming up in the next, I think starting today. So you can also see midday and later some just sideways chop. And this is probably a day for to keep risk down, as I think it can be pretty choppy up here. Yeah, what happened to UNH? Jesus, what a drop, huh? Mr. Market, nice backup.
So I'll say, yeah, so this is critical, guys. I mean, I say critical on the short term. So 69.95 is that 3-minute short-term level. We talked about, okay, bearish below it. They're probing below it. Now that is testing for change, right? If they can start to hold a couple of these 3-minute candles above here, then all of a sudden, again, short term, not a part of our major like 30-minute hypos for the session, but short term, you start to hold above that level, it puts us back in the immediate foreseeable future, puts us back into retesting that that upper area of resistance. You could also come in and you could put in one more short-term level, and let's do that. Let's put something right here as well. So we're layering all these things. You can't forget what's going on the daily. You can't forget this 30-minute picture and our main hypos for the session, but you can have a more granular view. And so we'll keep an eye on that. So far, buyers were not able to hold it inside that level. Key distinction, right? I said, if we can hold a couple 3-minute bars, that's acceptance, right? Starting to see either time or price acceptance into the zone back above 69.95. So far, sellers once again have rejected it. So I think last week someone asked me, do you use multiple time frames? And my answer was, I can't breathe as a trader without multiple time frames. That is the analysis, right? It's not just looking at a 3-minute chart or whatever your favorite chart is and saying, yeah, this is what I'm seeing, is what's going on. No, I think the most powerful analysis is when you are putting together things like we're doing here today, which is, okay, here's the big structure. Let's zoom into that. Okay, here's the trend structure within that, and how we're reacting or not reacting, or and then looking at more granular levels in between. A really good way to analyze markets and find trades. Let's recap it, because I think if you guys are, surely there's going to be some people out there that roll their eyes at this. They're like, yeah, man, you've told us. But I'm telling you, if you're anything like me, you need to hear this a couple times. Start with the daily. Get some really nice big picture zones. They're not precise, they're just zones, they're just areas of interest. And we can start to zoom in. 4-hour, nothing super new to see. We could start to highlight zones like we did right here, but pretty much everything here matches up with what we were looking at. We could add another, let's change the color of this just to make it stand out. There we go. Zoom into the 30-minute, pretty much the same level. We could start to get granular. In fact, I would say, let's go ahead and mark this one. We talked about it when we first did the prep. And guys, one thing is super interesting if we pause here. If we were to pull up volume profile on this, it's going to give us the same levels if you use it the way that I use volume profile. If we were to run a volume profile of this area, what's it going to look like? What's it going to look like? If we were to run volume profile from here to, let's say, right here in terms of time, it's going to look like that. That's what it's going to look like. You've got this wick area down here. You've got this wick from where it breaks out, and you've got a lot of choppy balance trade in here. And that's why that's going to be the shape. And so that's going to be like a value area, right? So you can visually do a lot of the same things. And it's actually, HVN, LVN, they're the same thing. And people could clip that and take it out of context and say, look at how stupid Barrett is. He said HVNs and LVNs are the same thing. But bear with me. LVNs are just a certain edge of an HVN. They are, I see profiles as just one continuous type thing. Yeah, exactly. Full gluten. It's the same. It's where does the HVN start to get really, really thin? That's where it becomes an LVN. It's all one distribution of things. So anyways, you can do a lot of profiling type work, especially if you pair it with what we talk about, like laws of market dynamics, where you're literally having some rules that you can apply based on what you're seeing, where price is holding inside or outside of the value areas or the HVN or the LVN, however you want to think of it. So anyways, break, hold out of this short-term 3-minute zone, or 30-minute, excuse me. And then if we were to focus on the 3-minute as to what's happened here to overnight and today, hello, sellers have reacted from our area of interest. We have the same type thinking of this zone. It's an HVN. And what have I done? I've highlighted the 2 LVNs on the outside of this HVN, or just think of it as a price action. So let's continue to watch this. Rejection from the big daily resistance.
So this is I mean, I have a different kinds, but this is some templates that I created for what you guys see as the wedge. I call it a 50 EMA wedge. I created this a while ago, and it's just different over time. What I've been able to see is that all wedges, all consolidations are not the same. So what I did is I collected hundreds of examples over 2 years, and within those examples, I then were able to classify them into a smaller set of wedges, right? What does an aggressive wedge look like in an uptrend? What does an aggressive wedge look like in a downtrend? What is a classical wedge? What is a, maybe in a low VIX environment? What is a wedge into support? What is a wedge into resistance, right? So I was able to classify them and say, okay, here are 30 examples of this. Here are 30 examples of this. Here are 30 examples of this. Over time, that collection allowed me to understand what the structure behind that consolidation, the higher time frame possible scenarios into that structure. So this here is a collection of that. This is an aggressive wedge continuation where we have a typical 9 EMA uptrend. We pull back into the 20 EMA. We have a very short consolidation and we break out, right? I'm not going to go over it in detail with this, but you get the idea here is that I've recorded videos on this. I've not on here, but I have another page dedicated to just hundreds of examples of this where I write notes, I write on the charts, and I just create my library. This is my library. This is the aggressive final stuff. This is the classic, what a classic consolidation looks like. Where are the turning points? How does the higher time frame look? This is a rare example of a wedge. This is a deep test of a swing higher, swing low before a reversal, right? But this is a small example of a larger set that I collected, and then I was able to bring down to say, okay, I have now 300 examples. These are the 6 or 8 most repeatable ones, and I'm just going to focus on those based on the rules that I was able to create based on all of this. And before I get off this, do not request send it to see this, because every time I share this, you guys are sending requests to see this. But yeah, that's my visual template. I do that for every setup. I have that for reversals. I have that for other ideas that I had in the past.